Okay, Senator Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there have been lots of conversations today about what we can do theoretically to lower healthcare costs, and I am all in on having these conversations. And it's also really clear from this hearing that Republicans really don't like Obamacare, even though most Americans strongly support the insurance reforms in Obamacare and what it's done to get more people covered. But I think we need to be real, colleagues, about where we are right now after all this back and forth. It's clear to me there is one way, and there is only one way, that we can keep Americans' health insurance premiums from skyrocketing come January 1st, and that one way is to extend the Affordable Care tax credits. That's the only option that we have on the table, and I think it's a good option, and Democrats have been ready to do this for months, but President Trump and Democrats are saying no, and in fact, last night, President Trump said on Truth Social, all in caps, "The only health care bill that I will support or approve is sending money directly to the people with nothing going to the big fat insurance companies." So let me just dive into that for 1 minute. Mr. Levitas, I want to ask you this. The president, Republicans are proposing, as best I can tell, sending money to Americans and basically saying, we don't forget about insurance. We're just going to send you money and you can buy your health care. So what would that look like if we actually did that and people who aren't worried about their health care end up leaving the insurance markets?
So it would mean two things. First of all, it would mean that people like Mr. Armitage couldn't afford the health insurance that he needs. And then second, it would mean that premiums went up for everyone, and so other people
only increase costs, right?
That's right.
Right. And Mr. Armitage, I appreciate your testimony so much, and thank you for being here. You and your wife have spent years, as you've told us, paying off your medical debt. So if you got a check for $6,500 or even a little more than that, would that have solved your issues with medical debt? Would that have made all your problems magically go away?
Did you say 5,500?
65.
65? It would be a down payment on a
Yes.
long-term cost when insurance is so expensive without any help. It would be a few months.
A few months.
And then what? Then we're right back to ground zero.
Right. And then you're faced with trying to figure out how to, you can't afford your life.
In a couple months, maybe I don't need much medical care. So I'm basically turning the money right back over to an insurance company, back to ground zero, no help, no ongoing protection or insurance affordability.
Right. So I want to touch on, thank you for that. And there's another issue that has not really been discussed very much today, but I bet it would come as a big surprise to a lot of folks, if you're listening to this hearing, that behind the scenes, part of what's going on here is actually a big debate about abortion. You're like, really? I haven't heard that much about this topic today. But what is really happening is that Donald Trump and Senate Republicans are insisting, they're saying, we won't agree to lower your health care premiums for millions of Americans unless they can get a ban on private insurance covering abortion care. So let me just go to you on this, Mr. Levitas, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out here. What is going on here is they're saying we won't help you afford your health insurance unless we can mandate what kind of health insurance you can buy with your own money. So under federal law, can federal funds be used to pay for abortion care?
No, they cannot.
That's right. That's the Hyde Amendment. And it's under federal law. It limits what health care women can get when they get their health insurance from Medicaid or other federal programs. Do I have that right?
That's right.
And what about federal tax credits for ACA health insurance? Can they be used in any way to pay for abortion care?
No, they can't.
And is it fair to say that under current federal law, the Affordable Care Act already prohibits federal funding for abortion?
Yes, the ACA could not be clearer about that.
So is there any way in which an extension of these tax credits to help Americans afford their health care, to avoid these doubling and tripling of health care costs, is there any way that that has any impact on what federal law already says about tax dollars and abortion?
Not that I can see.
So I think this is important for people to understand here, because what's really going on is this extreme anti-abortion Susan B. Anthony list, which has a lot of influence in the Republican Party. They are working to use this healthcare crisis as another way of getting basically a national ban on insurance paying for abortion care, a national ban on abortion coverage, even if people are paying for it with their own money. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.